Hello and welcome. Today I have a special video for you. I am speaking with Valérie Aston of Startup Business in France. And before we jump into that, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Patricia Brooks. I am an American living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And I moved here initially on a visitor visa, and 2.5 years in, I switched over to the profession-libérale business visa. And that is what we are going to be unpacking today. We're going to understand the ins and outs of that type of visa. And for that, I thought Valérie was the best person to speak to. So here she is. Valérie, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so my name is Valérie. I'm based in Normandy, northwest of France, and I'm the creator of Start Business in France, where I help expatriates moving to France, wanting to create an activity or maybe earn a top-up income. And I help them from the early stage where they're living in a different country, they want to come to France and they need a business visa, to they've landed and they need to register the business, to learning to manage this new French business, and as they grow their business later on, maybe moving on to a different legal structure or talking about tax issues that they might have.
Yeah. And I've worked with you
Yeah.
initially to review my business plan for my profession liberal visa. But then also after I made a little mistake when I was declaring my cotisation, my social charges, and you were able to, look into it and say, oh, yeah, this is what you need to do. And that worked out well. So Valérie is definitely a good person to know if you have a business in France. So, when I moved, like I said, I came on a sabbatical. I was on the visitor visa, was not working, and I was enjoying my French life. However, 2.5 years in, as my savings started to dwindle and I'm not of retirement age, I had to figure a few things out. And fortunately, I had gone to coach training school and become a certified professional coach back in 2016. So I knew in the back of my mind that that was something that I might want to do in France. And so I decided that that's what I was going to do. And I had to go back to the United States actually to apply for the profession liberal visa. And to get us started, Valérie, can you share a little bit about what this type of visa is and what it allows you to do?
Yeah, so this visa is designed specifically for people who want to start a business once they're in France to earn some income. So we're talking about someone whose main source of income is going to come from their business activity. You have people coming to France as retirees that don't plan to work, but you have to think about what is your future life in France. Do I plan to just like do like you, relax for a year, enjoy the French life? Is it a short-term or long-term thing? And do you actually need to have a top-up income? And I can see more American people moving to France. They also want to have a top-up local income. So in that case, you have to think, okay, if I have a top-up income or a main income, I'm going to need an authorization from the French embassy to allow me to come over and work. And you have to make the distinction between the visa, which is what is giving you the authorization to come and live in France, to then later on, once you're here, registering the business. So don't forget that once you're here with your business visa, the visa profession-libérale, you will have to register a business. And the visa profession-libérale, the specificity of this one is that it's the easiest one to get. It's issued for 1 year. It's renewable from France, so you have to apply for it from your home country, or if you're someone who's already living abroad in a different country, from the country where you're living, where you're a resident, but you apply for it before you move. And this is going to allow you to stay in France for 6 months, for 12 months. And after that 12 months, you will renew it from France. So you don't have to go home, you will renew it from France. And at that point, you will go and see the prefecture and they will ask you, okay, did you register a business? Did you earn some income? Did you declare that income? Did you get a health cover set up? And do you earn enough income from your business? And in that case, they will renew it for maybe 1 to 4 years. If you're doing really well, they might renew it for 4 years. If you're on the edge, they might just do 1 year and then you go back the following year. So that's a nice visa because it enables you to earn some income here and you renew it from France. So you don't
Yeah.
have, there's some paperwork to be done once you're here, but you don't have to fly home. In your case, you had to go home because you came with a visitor visa. And the key thing to remember here is that the visitor visa doesn't allow you to work. You can't have a top-up income. You can't work remotely for a previous employer. You're supposed to enjoy the life of leisure. So you could, in theory, switch from a visitor visa to a profession-libérale. But in practice, if you do that, you will need to renew your visa profession-libérale at least once in France after 1 year, and then
Uh,
start the process of switching. And the
you mean
reality,
your visitor visa?
yeah, your visitor
Yeah,
visa,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And so you have your visitor visa. After 1 year, you renew it in France, and then you would go and see the prefecture to switch to a profession libérale visa. And they're going to say, hang on, you just renewed your visitor visa. Why do you suddenly want to work when you said you were not working? And it's tricky to do because they're not really used to it. If you're in Paris, it's fine, but in the province, countryside, it's really hard. And my experience is that it's going to take 18 months to actually manage to
Wow.
switch.
Wow.
uh, it's awful.
Well, so that was the thing. So 2.5 years in for me, I was like, okay, I know what I want to do. I want to help people who are ready to make a move abroad, but who struggle with confidence, courage, fear, self-doubts. I want to use those coaching skills that I learned. And I asked, I was like, oh, but is it possible? And I had renewed my visitor visa at least once. I renewed it twice and thought, well, is it possible to renew here? And people told me, well, yeah, it's possible, but it's going to be challenging because they're not necessarily going to be well versed in that. And it's probably easier and it'll probably be faster if you just go back to the United States and do it. And so I did. And I applied, I had my appointment, and within 6 days, I got notice that my
Brilliant.
passport was on its way back. So definitely faster. Definitely, I think for me it was worth
Yeah.
the flying back and just having it done and not having the hassle. You say 18 months. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I show you two examples, I've had two couples last year who wanted to switch from France from the visitor visa to visa profession libérale. It's taken us more than 18 months. One is still ongoing. The one who just received it this week, I said, yes, Rob got it finally. And he had to really push the prefecture. He was told off seriously for a meeting that no, it wasn't feasible. Who was he to actually think that he could push it through? The meeting was just awful. And suddenly, 3 weeks later or a month later, they said, okay, you can have it. But it's just where. And my advice at the moment is for people to prepare your next visa from France. So let's say you're still on your 1 year visa. Start working on your business project, your business plan, the application. We talk about the process in a moment, but prepare this as you're in France so that you get the project validated and fly back when you had the validation to just go the last bit that you did, which is the TLS embassy appointment. So at least it means you'll spend less time back home. You could be there 2 to 3 weeks and it'll be done. And have some, for instance, a customer of mine, we've been doing this. She was on a visitor visa. She's going to work as an estate agent. So we prepared everything. We got it validated. She's flying back in July in the US, and she'll be flying back to see family, go the TLS meeting, and then she'll come back. And
Yes,
it's
yes,
much faster,
yes,
less painful.
yes, yes. Well, so that makes me, wonder, we're speaking about the profession-libérale visa. What kinds of businesses can people start using this type of structure?
So anything which isn't regulated in France unless you're qualified. But if I look at so I register about 100 businesses per year personally. There's a lot of consultant, coach, programmers, IT support, AI consultants. Then we have a lot of retreat businesses, wellness businesses, photographers. So it could be anything, but I tend to look at your own experience. What have you done in the past as an employee? Maybe a field that you could freelance in, work with previous employer. What is your passion? What are you passionate about? Something that you think, well, actually, I could live with this because I'm just so passionate. I've trained in that field. I want to move on to this. Or a skill, for instance, like you, where you retrain to something that you're really excited about and that will be your future freelancing activity. So I will look at those three: experience, passion and hobby, and your skills. And sometimes we do a mix of both because sometimes you kind of, you're going to a new country, so you're in a transition, but you might also be in a transition of career. And it's fine to have what I call the slashers, an activity where your main source of income short term might be from your previous field of expertise, your previous companies you work with, and you're launching at the same time something else. That is acceptable, or you go full on onto the new project. If you don't have any idea at all, I have a free guide called 100 Business Ideas to Freelance in France, and that's based on the activities I've registered over 15 years, and you have my top 10 for 2024. So if you can't find an idea there, that is surprising, and that's based on what the expats are doing. The second thing you can do, I also have a challenge.
And we'll put a link to that in the
Yeah,
description.
as a link. I also have a challenge which is called 5 days to freelance in France. And if you think, okay, I might go and start a business or freelance, I'm not really sure I'm made for it. It might be my first experience. I'm not really sure what I want to do. That's like a mini course where over 5 days, I'm sending you 5 videos and guides and I'm guiding you to start working with potential ideas and how it will fit in with the French system. So at least you can say, okay, I'm passionate about that, but can it work in France? Is it regulated? Do I have to adapt it? So at least you can start making decision to say, oh yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I should do it. Or you might say, well, no, I don't feel happy with that. Let's move on to the next thing I might want to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the reason that I wanted to have this conversation with you, Valerie, is because just this week I heard that there are some changes to the profession-libérale visa, and there are changes to the visa process in general. Like just I don't know, a few months ago, it changed. You keep saying TLS, right? When I went for my
Yeah.
visa, it was VFS, and so there's
Yeah.
a change in the middleman who handles the paperwork. But there's also another big change around the profession liberale visa, and so I'm going to just hand it over to you so you can kind of explain, what those changes are and what that will mean.
Yeah, exactly. So the profession-libérale in the past, we used to make a distinction between two types of activities. So we had the what we call the profession-libérale, which is a business activity like you. You are an intellectual-based activity, you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a programmer. For those people before, we didn't have to get any approval or validation on the business project. You had to prepare a business plan, but then you would just go to the TLS appointment, book an appointment, prepare your form, and you would go to the appointment, hand over all your dossier, and then they would make a decision. And for other type of activities called commercial activities and artisans, so if you think about manual activities, if you think about carpenters, builders, beautician, and so on, or by commercial is more like a gîte retreat. For those, they had to get a project validation from a body called ANEF, Ministère de l'Intérieur, and that body would give a validation on the feasibility, on the viability of the project, and they had to get what they called avis favorable, in order to move to the next step of preparing the visa application form, going to the TLS appointment. And if they had a no, then it would go back to square one, maybe changing the project or adapting it. And so you can see that for consultants like you or coach, it was much faster because you would go straight on to step number 2. I prepare my visa application form. I go to, at the time it was VFS, they lost the contract, it's now TLS, and that was it. So within 3 months, somebody who worked really hard could have their visa profession-libérale. Now what I've decided is that all projects need to get a validation on the viability of their business project before they go ahead to the next step. And when we talk about having a validation from ANEF, Ministère de l'Intérieur, when you submit your business, so you have to prepare your business plan, financial plan, proofs of saving, any kind of legal rules we need to cover, they're going to give us, so it's on an online site, they're going to give us, they should come back to us within 2 weeks, 2 to 8 weeks. And so suddenly we might have an 8 weeks delay before you can move on to the next stage. So rather than think, okay, I might be in France in 3-4 months time, you have to think, okay, I'm going to be in France in 6 months time from now. So anyone who's thinking now, I want to move to France, give yourself 6 months to come, because we have that lapse of time where we don't know whether they're going to take 2 weeks or 8 weeks. If I look at the last 3 weeks, for some of my customers, some of them we've been lucky. For instance, the estate agent, the agent commercial, she had a request for information after 4 days. Said, oh, great. They ask us for something, so we just get back to them. There it is. They want extra information. And then 4 days later, done. She had avis favorable.
Mm-hmm.
Then in February, had a photographer in the US. so working in fashion. He doesn't like it because I call him my nightmare customer. No, he was a star.
Well, that's horrible.
He was a star customer because he worked on his project. He said, Valerie, I'm full on. Within a month, we had done a great project. He was studying in the US in the fashion world and photography. Within a month, we had a fantastic project and support. We submitted it to ANF, but ANF took 2 months to come back to us. 2 months later, they asked one question, two questions, three questions. We get back to them, then nothing. A month and a half later, and we chased them to say, we submitted 2 months ago, there's nothing, what's going on? They said, it's not a technical issue, so we can't say anything, it's in the right hands. Okay. A month and a half later, still nothing. And suddenly we sent another message and they asked us more questions, answer back, and they tried to pull out of giving a validation. And he finally got his validation this week. So
Oh,
he was 3.5 months.
wow.
That's why I said my
Oh,
nightmare. So he had to postpone his move to France because it took longer
that's
than planned.
such a shame. And so the reason that they're adding this complexity to the profession-libérale visa, do you know the reason?
Well, I guess it was unfair because if you had a project like you had a retreat business, a gîte with maybe yoga lessons or a large gîte, you really have to be thorough because when you submit your project to an F, it's as if you were submitting to a bank manager. They're really
Oh,
thorough.
wow.
Well, if you were a consultant, the person reading, I think that it's not the same person who was reading the business plan. So the people at the embassy on that um, advance on the business side, it's not like a business advisor reading the plan. So it was easier to get. And they realized, well, it's not balanced. They seem to be going through easier, although some of them may not be as viable as the others. So it's like, okay, hold on, there's more people coming. So let's make sure we do vet the project. And I think they want to ensure people are going to be earning enough income from their business activity.
Yeah, they want,
And
yeah.
that's the change I would see compared to years ago. I had some people who came over where it wasn't really sure that the activity was there because it was brand new or they didn't necessarily have big contracts. They came through. That wouldn't fly now. Now they're really putting the emphasis on, oh, but do you have customers? Do you have potential customers? So letters of support, letters of intent, potential contract are very important.
Yeah, yeah. Now, thank you so much for sharing all of that. You have given me, and I don't know if you are ready to share the graphic that you've given me
Yeah,
to.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me share my screen. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, there it is. So
There
it's
it
the
is.
visa profession-libérale application process. So you can see how you write visa profession-libérale. And this summarizes the steps that you have to go through. So that's how you're going to prepare your visa application. So the first step is you want to prepare your dossier. So that's what we talked about. You prepare a business plan, a financial plan with projection over 3 years. You have your proofs of savings. If you have an activity that's regulated, we also cover a few legal points there. So you prepare your dossier, and then once you're happy with it, you're gonna submit it to Ministère de l'Intérieur. So step 2, ANF Ministère de l'Intérieur for approval. So it's a specific website. They ask you to add your information, where will you live, your personal details, your passport, will you live in France. So you need to have booked the place where you're gonna stay at that stage. You upload a few documents and you submit to them. And within 2 to 8 weeks, they come back to you. Either straight away
In
you
theory.
yeah, yeah. At the moment, June, we've been successful. June and July, it's going really well. So they get back to you by email. So you receive an email with a very formal letter. Look at the top of that letter. If you have avis favorable, party, you move on to the next step. If it's avis défavorable, you have to go back to square one. And sometimes they ask you questions. So if they ask you questions, it's pretty hard to read because it's very old-fashioned French. But they're pointing to things they want you to answer specific question. You answer back on uploading documents on the platform, and you might do a bit of ping pong until they make the decision.
Okay, so when you get an avis défavorable,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a decline. It's they're looking for more information.
No, avis défavorable is a decline. They say, okay, the project
Okay.
as it is a no. And
Okay.
unfortunately, when they say no, they don't necessarily say you have too little income, you don't have enough savings, you've broken that rule. It's pretty broad. So for instance, this week there's a lady I work with. had a look at her business plan, and she had a no, and she sent me the letter, and it's because there was a doubt that she was around COVID time, she was given a visa profession-libérale. She didn't come over because of COVID, and it looks like they wanted a proof that she did come or didn't come, or she left the country. So they wanted copies of a visa, a passport to show she did come or didn't come or left the country. That was the question, because she had a very viable business, potential customers. So it's a technical issue. So she can go back and resubmit because we know what the issue is. If it's so you have to try to understand if it's like, okay, not viable, they think you don't have enough customers, so can you get more contracts, potential contracts, before you move and resubmit? So we adjust that. Let's say you have avis favorable, so yes, it's a yes.
Yes, let's
Move
assume
on.
the
Move on to
positive.
step three. Step three is you prepare your visa application form online with France Visa. And you also look at, so TLS is the body who's handling the visa application dossier for the French embassy. In some countries, you're dealing directly with the French embassy. So you look at both at the same time. You want to see which TLS office are you going to go to and check if there's some availability. And once you're happy with the office you want to go to, you finalize that France visa application. Because you really, the France visa, you look at the two at the same time, because sometimes you prepare your form and you realize there's nothing before 2 months. So if you plan a long time ahead, it's not an issue. But if you're more in a hurry, you might realize that actually if you went to New York, you might have had some availability sooner.
Okay, well,
Or meeting.
so that leads me to another question. So you can go to a TLS office that's not the closest one to your
Yeah,
where you live?
provided on the France visa form, you chose that office. They have to match. You have to make sure both, when you've completed the form, you did say, I'm going to New York.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
So you book the appointments, and on the day, so you on step 5, on the day, you take your paper dossier, so all the documents you've prepared for the validation, plus a proof that of the place you're going to stay, a proof that you have a health cover, ID pictures, and did I forget anything? And if you've pre-booked your flights, you show them as well. So you hand over everything, and don't expect that appointment to be, nothing will happen. There won't be any conversation about your business. There won't be any French conversation. You're literally coming over and handing paper, dossier, and paying your fees, and you hand over your passport. So just know that basically you can't leave the country for 2 weeks. And within 2 weeks, they send you your passport back via courier. And when you open it, hopefully you got the visa inside.
Yes, yes. This is a great diagram that shows the process. So thank you for sharing that.
So I would say, compared to you, Patricia, when you came over a few years ago, you didn't have step number 2. So you could have gone through that profession-libérale within 3 months. Now I'm saying more like 6 months, but knowing that, to me, the longest step is preparing your dossier. Even if you're working hard, it's not that easy to do. It could take a month and a half to do. And potentially the NF could be 1 to 2 months.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. I lucked out. I lucked out.
Yeah, I mean, this month I've been talking to people who said, damn it, I should have worked faster because now you have my project validated. But I
Yeah.
must say, the project you prepared, you would have gone through anyway with NF, because you had a
Oh,
great business plan, great
thank you.
financial, so you would have got it
Thank you.
without any
Thank
problem.
you. Well, so the process is similar, but there's that extra added step. You need to make sure that your business plan is really good, and you need to add that additional time into the process. And
Yeah.
then, and this is brand new, starting with June 1st of 2025, right?
The decree was voted on, I think, on the 18th of June.
Oh,
So for the first 2 weeks, we kind of, what happens to those where we were just about to have the TLS meeting and embassy meeting? So I have some customers in Mexico. They've got the meeting next week. We were like, quick, rush in. Let's try to fit in the NF validation just in case. So we don't know yet those in between where they say, we don't even know about it, or they say, please give us this document.
oh,
I would say July, anyone in July, you want to submit it or postpone a little bit your project if you started, to make sure you get that document. Because if you don't have it, that will be the first thing we say, okay, no validation. So no, we can't do anything.
Yeah. All right. So we're assuming the path, the positive path. The visa comes back through in the mail. You've got your passport with the visa in it, and you're headed to France. Then you get to France, and you've got this new business that you're starting there. What do people need to know that they need to do?
So within the first 3 months, you have two key things to do. If you came and you rented somewhere, which is very temporary, you rented somewhere for a month, focus on finding the place where you're going to stay long term, or for at least maybe 6 months to a year. So as soon as you have that fixed address where you want to live, you're going to register your visa profession-libérale with OFI. So it's the Foreign Office of Immigration. You have to register or record your visa with them. Once you're in France, it's done online. And that will trigger at some point a meeting with them where you have a health check. But you have to do that within 3 months. And then don't forget to register your business. Same thing. You want to not leave it too long. Because again, this year I'm having people who had the visa profession-libérale, they moved to France, they started working, and then suddenly they realized, oh, right, I didn't realize that I had to register a business. My visa renewal is in September and I've got nothing. Oh
Oh,
my word. So I have a few of those where we're rushing in to register the business because the business is going to help you tremendously in getting documents that you will need to renew your visa, your health cover, your official business papers, paying taxes, all of those, being able to open a bank account. All of those are going to be made more easier with your business. So
yes.
you land, you find a place where you want to stay, you record your visa with OFI, and then you register your business. Once you've got your business, you open a personal account and a personal bank account, and you also try to open a bank account dedicated to your business.
Yeah, yeah. And I work with you. I got the approval. I was still in the United States, and I worked with you helped me to get my business registered. And that was like after all the heavy lift of writing the business plan and the stress of going to the appointment, I was like, maybe I could do this myself, but Valérie does this. This is in her lane. She gets this. So I worked with you and got here, and it was wonderful. Um, I do want to mention something that I think is important to understand. Like in that first year, if you don't already have a business going, like to get a business up to where you're making the French minimum wage or the SMIC, that's a heavy lift in the first year. And so if you are moving here and you have temporary housing for 3 months or whatever that is that you've decided that you're going to go with for the visa, then you have to find a place to stay, and that will chip away at the time that you have to devote to building your business. And so for me, I was fortunate enough to already have been here for a couple of years and kind of been settled. So know that if that's going to be something you're going to need to do, that's something that's going to take away that time and energy from your business. So be aware of that.
Yeah, I think the more time you spend at home to say, okay, which area of France do I really want to live in? Even do a scouting trip so you make sure you like the area. Yes, you're spending time, you might be delaying your project, but you're actually earning time for later on because you've made sure you like the area. And to me, as soon as we register a business, we don't really want you to move for at least 4 to 5 months because that's when your French health cover is being set up. And believe me, for that lapse of time, you don't want to move because those are super important to have. So it's also, you might say to yourself, okay, I might have found something where it may not be the place where I want to live for the next 2 years. If I'm okay with it for 8 months, to stick with it for 8 months, for that lapse of time, I focus a bit more on getting the business going. And then I treat myself to the place where I really want to stay. I've got more time to look around, do some visiting, and then move again. But don't
Yeah.
move too often. Not in the
Yeah.
first 4 or 5 months of your business, because you
Yeah.
miss it all.
I think that because I have a client who came over on a business visa, and that ate away so much of her time. And now it's crunch time, and it's not a good feeling. When you go to renew, it's always stressful. And if you feel like you haven't done enough financially to get approved, which, for me, I was close, but I had not earned the SMEEK in my first year. And fortunately, they saw something in me and they
Yeah.
approved me.
It depends what your situation is, because, for instance, you could be slightly below the SMIC, provided you've got savings, that's fine.
Yeah, I
So
had
it's
savings.
okay.
Yeah.
And you also would write your cover letter to say, okay, here's what I've done over the last year to really settle down in France, learn French, open a bank account, open my business, start negotiating. You show the process you've done to develop your business, or if we can see your business being going up, you do show over the last 4 months or 5 months, this has been significantly increasing. We can see an improvement. If you've signed a big contract, you also include that to really strengthen your project. They can understand. What they can't understand is if it took you 7 months to register the business, they think, what have you been doing? You said you came for a business. And sometimes, unfortunately, it can also be bad. So I've had a case for some customers that had a gîte business, and unfortunately, they've had major trouble building problem in the property, so they had to postpone significantly the opening of their gîte. So they've missed the summer season and they
Wow.
couldn't make the target. And the prefecture said, well, actually, we don't believe you had a business. So they
Wow.
refused the renewal because they didn't make enough
Oh,
business. And although they justified everything, they said, we believe you just try to get free healthcare. So they are getting tougher. For your renewal, you really, if you have a low turnover, you do explain what you're doing. If you sign up a big contract that makes a big difference, don't hesitate to add all of those documents. And also, to me, I like when people go for monthly declaration of their activity. So it shows many, many proof. We can see it's increasing. Again, you're showing you're doing good, you're improving,
yeah.
you're getting closer.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think we covered a lot. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to share?
Yes, I would say don't get too scared. It's still, still feasible. It's, it's just harder. What I can see, if you compare from 1 year to another, I mean, the process is longer, but you are definitely better prepared. You probably also come with more customers. I can see people I work with on business visas. When they come over, they've got more turnover potential because they've done the hard work back home. They look in the network if they could take customers over. They have potential contracts signed up. You're making your future life easier. So yes, it might take you longer to come to France, but you're better prepared, and it means you'll be able to relax more once you're here. And also, I've done projects where we say, okay, I'm in a rush, I want to do it within 3 months, but you're putting so much pressure on yourself. So I think to me, it's also nice to say, give yourself 6 months. Once you've got NF done, which is within the first 3 months, then you'll have more time to actually focus on, okay, why am I, do I need to empty the house? I need to prepare things. So you'll have more headspace to prepare the next step of the move, say goodbye to your friends, prepare your house, sign your pets. And before, when you were doing everything together, honestly, that's really, that was hard. So give yourself some breathing space. That's going to be feasible with that longer deadline.
Yeah. And like time flies, time goes by really quickly now. So you say you want to do it in 3 months and you say, oh, 6 months, that's too long. That 6 months will go by really quickly. So when I work with people who are starting businesses, if at all possible, if their business allows them to start getting clients, start proving not only, the ANF, but to themselves. Like if they've never run a business, like that's a big, and nobody's ever paid them. That's a big belief that you need to overcome. That, oh, is somebody really going to pay me for this? And so if it's a business where they can start now finding clients, I always say do it, because that will give you the boost of confidence you're going to need.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all that work you're doing, it makes you work on your products and services, calculate your prices, know who your competitors are. So you're feeling much more confident as you work on your project. You're definitely feeling more confident. And if you find it too hard, just get external help or external feedback. I mean, I have the my French business visa course, where the course is recorded to help you prepare your business project, apply for your visa application. And there's some one-to-one coaching with me, but it's more like business coaching. I've worked with French entrepreneurs for 10 years, working on the business plan, financial plan. So I've got all that knowledge of, okay, how does your industry work in France? Which kind of criteria do you have to meet? What is the legal side? And I'm also pushing you on the business side, more like, okay, what are your prices? What are your services? Does that sound feasible? What about your projection? Does it sound realistic? And it makes you get slowly confident and have a really strong project. So don't stay on your own, get external help so that you feel ready for your business. It's just not the visa, it's to launch your own business.
Yeah, yeah. And so I help people who are, getting ready to make that move abroad, who may lack the confidence to make it happen or have that self-doubt, or even fear that causes them, oh, can I do this? Can I not do this? That causes them not necessarily to maybe even look into certain things or take the steps that are required to delay. And so, if you are interested in having support in making your move abroad, work on your mindset, building your confidence and your courage so that you can actually make it happen. You can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/future expat. And there you can sign up for a complimentary discovery call to see whether one-on-one coaching or my Carefree Expat Incubator program for single women making the move abroad is the right program for you. All right, so definitely check that out. Anything else, Valerie, before we go?
I was just going to say having someone to lean on and a community as well to be with, it makes a huge difference. And just think that that big project that you're about to launch, once you move to one country, if you wanted to, you'll be able to go to a different country and take that business with you. So that's a huge step. You know that you're doing the hard work once, and then you can keep moving somewhere else and take it with you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Valerie, I want to thank you so much for all of this detailed information that helps people understand, the intricacies of the profession-libérale visa. You are definitely a really good resource. So if you need help, if you're looking to move abroad, start a business here in France, reach out to Valerie. She's the person to go to.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care and see you next time.